with the Bucks boycotting their Game 5 playoff matchup against the Orlando Magic on Wednesday. With that action, a historic movement in sports was sparked as other athletes and sports leagues joined in solidarity. The ball stopped bouncing, and now the players of the NBA have our attention. We're at the edge of our seats, waiting for a plan, waiting to hear what's next. I'm Roz Goldenwood with Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, and ESPN's Maria Taylor. Maria, last night, players met and reports say that there was more emotion and unrest than actual progress made. Today, they'll meet again, as well as the owners separately. Maria, in your opinion, what has to happen next?
I think what's so interesting about that is you're never going to have everyone agree to one means to an end. I mean, Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, they had two completely different means, but the same goal and the same end. And that can be the same thing that's happening in the bubble. We can't expect every single player to jump onto the same bandwagon and have the same plan. But what the players are doing right now, they're acting spontaneously because they do not know what else to do. They've been backed into a corner, backed into a wall, and are fighting a good fight that's been in the works for 400 years. So I do believe that there's an opportunity for players to say, okay, every single team in our city of Boston, in our city of Milwaukee, we are going to go and we're going to sit in on these city council meetings. We are going to have conversations about police unions. We're going to figure out what the city contract with the police department looks like. We're going to peel those apart. We're going to find ways to have accountability when police are coming into our streets, are coming into our neighborhoods, and make sure that there is some form of government or a judge or a jury or someone that could find someone guilty when a black body is left in the street due to police fatal shooting. And I think those are conversations that can be had, but I don't think that we should expect all of these players to hop into, a kumbaya mode and come up with just one goal and one idea. They have been sitting with this for years, their entire lives, and it's all coming to the forefront. I was talking to a player from the Detroit Lions just yesterday, and, they boycotted their practice, and he talked about the emotions that were in the locker room before they came to that decision. That's what everyone is feeling right now in the bubble. That's what every player in the NFL, NBA, MLB, every team, every player that decided not to play and boycott, they're feeling the same emotion. So we can't expect them in a day and 24 hours in one meeting to come up with a solution. We just can't. But we have to do is be patient and be understanding that they're grappling with the issues that have torn America apart for the last 400 years, and we cannot expect them to save us.
Stephen A., did you want to respond?
Go ahead, Max. No, go ahead. I will in a second.
I want to go back to Maria. I really want to respond to what you said in the last segment. I think when you bring up the treatment of black bodies, that is a profound point. Because from this country's original sin, which was the enslavement of black bodies, until now, flash forward to today, and it's the entertainment by black bodies. And your point that this is what young black people can control. In this case, NBA players, you hear the hue and cry, right? The response to that is they should be grateful to live in a country where they can be millionaires for playing a game. They should be grateful, even though, otherwise what? Where should they go back to what? Go back to limited opportunity, poverty? And why are those conditions the way they are? Is there something intrinsically inferior about African Americans? No. It goes back, traces directly to our country's original sin, which has never been redressed. And any time an effort is made, whether it be affirmative action or some kind of policy which some feel may be misguided or not effective enough or not enough, after all, where were the reparations? Any little movement in that direction is met with loud criticism by what's become a kind of voting bloc that is spoken to with white grievance politics. That's what's going on now. And the answer to that is vote. Vote. That's why I love LeBron's organization. Vote, vote, vote on the municipal, the state, and federal level. Districts are gerrymandered, so your vote doesn't count as much. Right now, there's an effort at the post office, or there was until it was stopped recently, to take out sorting machines, to slow up the mail, to make it harder for you to vote by mail. Get out there and vote on every single level, state, local, and federal. That's the most important thing, in my view, that can be done now.
You know, there's a lot on my mind. I'm going to try to keep my cool when I say this because, see, I'm about winning. And I happen to know that the players are about winning. The reason why we revere and idolize them to the degree that we do as a viewing public is because they're phenomenal at what they do. And they're winners in ways that we wished we could be winners. And so our respect for them is profound, clearly as professional athletes. And when you get to know them, it should be as men because they're special people. But there does come a point in time where we got to get back to the bottom line and what's really, really important. And that's winning this fight, recognizing what the fight is and winning off the court, which is the issue that we're really, really talking about right now. I remember I received a text a couple of days ago from the great Joe Madison, the Black Eagle, hosts his own show on Urban View Radio, channel 126, every weekday morning from 6 to 10 a.m. And he said, remember, protest equals progress. He's absolutely right. But we also need to recognize and remember what protests are really about. Protests is basically the voices of the voiceless and the powerless. They're the ones that go to the streets. The others, meaning professional athletes, don't necessarily have to be in the streets like there are some people encouraging them. Why? Because they got a seat at the table where the power brokers are with direct access to influencers that can provoke, promote, and implement change. We can't ignore that. We want to bring up the civil rights movement. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, the list goes on and on. Tell me one of them. I'm asking you facetiously, Roz and Maria. A nod will do. Tell me one of those individuals I just mentioned that didn't have a plan. Tell me one of them. Everything was calculated. Everything was planned. Why? Because they knew lives were on the line. This is not a game. This is not a joke. This is real life. And when you're talking about people and what they need to do, we need to understand the ramifications and make sure that everybody understands what the ramifications are. Not to dissuade you from acting, not to make you passive or timid or afraid. As a matter of fact, it's to embolden you and strengthen you and elevate you because you have a plan in motion that you plan on executing. That's the important point to bring up here. And I'm not saying y'all didn't do it. I'm not saying that people out there haven't done it. I'm saying whether it's the 68 Olympics that you brought up, Max, whether it's when Muhammad Ali and Jim Brown and Kurt Flood and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and all that, everything you can point to that has resonated in history, even though it was impromptu and it was spontaneous at a point, ultimately, almost immediately, a plan had to be put in place in order to really make the kind of noise that they were making. It is not only not a crime to bring that up, it is absolutely necessary. You know what? As Snoop Dogg would say, that ain't selling out, that's looking out. And that's what we have to be about saying.
And I agree with you, Stephen A., that there has to be, I was just going to say that there does have to be a plan. But in most of the civil rights issues that they took up, say it was the bus boycotts, they knew that what they wanted was equal access to those buses. The issue with police brutality is it's so fragmented and it's so different in every single community that they're going to have to disperse and decide which one's gone. And the fact that they came to the bubble and they had a plan. We're going to speak out. We are going to wear Black Lives Matter. When we have a post-game press conference, we're going to have these conversations. And they did everything that they listed that they wanted to do. LeBron James starts More Than a Vote. You know, the Change Fund has started, Chris Paul. And everything that they did lined up. Jacob Blake is shot 7 times in the back. And it's like, they're punched in the gut. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? And I think that's when we saw them remove their bodies from the conversation. They took ownership of, we're not going to be your entertainment if you can shoot us dead in the street.
Right. Maria,
right?
I'm aiming this question to you and Roz because y'all are my sisters. Let me ask you a question because it's our community. It ain't just black men suffering. It's black women too. So we all in this together. Let me ask you a question. Just like you just said, everything that possibly could have been done conceivably in the moment was done. And Jacob Blake still got shot 7 times in the back. So my question to you would be this. That still happened. If that's provocation to cancel the season, when you come back for 2021 and the next black person is shot, what are we going to do then? I'd like an
Here's my
answer.
thing. Yeah. What are we going to do then? Don't play the games. Do whatever you feel makes you believe that you are taking control of the situation as a black man or a black woman. For me, that might be still showing up despite the fact that you face systematic racism, despite the fact that you know that your brother, when he goes on the street, and he's been arrested for no apparent reason and taken to jail. And luckily, my father has been in the FBI for 27 years and could go and pick him up and drag him out of that jail so he wasn't in the system. I don't believe things are going to change. I'm not going to sit up here and give the optimistic viewpoint that them not playing games mean no black person will get shot again. Absolutely not. In fact, I believe we are seeing a riptide of actions against black bodies because a certain group of individuals in this country feels the rising of black power, and they're having an issue with that. And so they're trying to create a system of terror and make us believe that we are the issue, that we are the problem, that our bodies don't matter. But that's not going to change. What the players can do is say, you will not be distracted in this moment. You will have to watch that video. You're going to have to turn on CNN. You're going to have to turn on whatever news channel you would like to watch and understand the unrest that's happening in these streets. You're not going to be talking about Luka scoring 50. You're not going to talk about Dame dropping 30 and hitting all 8 threes in the game. That's not what we're going to talk about. You're going to have to sit down and sit with yourself and look in the mirror. And I think that's all that they're asking right now. Don't believe it's going to change anything. Think it might lead to them going back to their communities and figuring out how exactly we could do that. We're going to see Jaylen Brown come back to Atlanta and say, okay, how do I fix policing here so another Rayshard Brooks doesn't happen? But it's the biggest picture is we didn't create racism. It's been here for 400 years. We can't fix it with a game. We can't fix it with our bodies. We can't fix it in this lifetime. All we can do is bring attention to it and ask white people to come along with us, join us in the fight, and actually change something. That's the only way things are going to get better. And they reserve the right to use the only thing they have. The only thing they have is their bodies and their athletic gifts in this moment because everything else has been stripped from them.
And to answer Stephen A's
when you
question,
say,
because
sorry, Roz,
Max, he did also ask me, so I'm going to chime in. Stephen A, I feel that it's better to do something than to do nothing because you feel that things won't change. And so I think it's important that these players, as Maria Taylor has said, take control of their bodies and take control of getting attention, taking a stance. They have our attention. Now they're working on a plan. Let's not forget that the members and players of the Milwaukee Bucks spent the time in the locker room actually talking to leaders in the government of Milwaukee and of Wisconsin, asking for best steps from people who have experience in how to create real change in communities and legislation. So, real things are coming from this. And I want to kind of end the segment because we do have to go to break, coming back to the first point Maria actually made from jump, that let's not expect that these athletes who are majority black are going to have all of the solutions and answers for how to handle systemic injustice, racial injustice, police brutality, and answer all of America's questions and problems in just one day of meetings today. To Maria's point, I think it's really important that we recognize we should not continue to put the entire burden on the shoulders of those that are oppressed. They need to be part of the conversation.
Stop right there.
They need to... Go ahead.
Stop right there. Stop right there. Stop right there. The only reason I'm saying this, I stop right there to both of you. Maria, you host NBA Countdown. I'll be there with you tonight. Looking forward to it.
There.
Roz, you've been covering the NBA exceptionally well for years. So you both know this. It's not about judging them. We're not against them. We're for them. But questions need to be asked because remember, while all of this is going on, they're actually technically in violation of the CBA. You all cover the NBA, so you know that's true because of what's happening. That's the only reason I bring that up is because from a technical perspective, if that was to be explored, that's something you have to think about because that's part of the reason some of these meetings are taking place today. We have to make sure the viewers out there know.
Excuse me. Stop right there because you have to sometimes break the rules in order for change to happen. Rarely does change come from those who sit and follow the rules and do nothing. You need some kind of disruption, and this gets that.
No, we're not saying they don't. We're not saying they don't. I'm just saying we asked the question. We're not judging them. You're not. We're not doing that. What we're saying is you're having meetings today. That's why we're having this conversation. Because we're saying don't expect them to do something in a day, but they have to have some kind of answers today. Because they're having the meetings
the
about
answer to
continuing to play.
The answer to what happens.
The CBA is not a
the
part
answer
of it.
to what happens next year if there's another incident.
That's right.
Is they'll cross that bridge when they get to it. I mean, there's always a good reason for sometimes well-intentioned contemporaries to tell the revolutionary, to tell the person who would change the world, to tell the leader of social change and those who would follow, wait a minute, caution, let's go over all the things that could go wrong. Maybe this is not the right time. There were reasons to warn Kaepernick. Careful, you may not get a job after this, et cetera, et cetera. Kaepernick didn't listen to those people. He did what he did, and neither did the Milwaukee Bucks. They did what they did, and that's usually how change begins.
Well said, Max. Thank you so much.